Hey, how you doing? We're still working on Baby Blue here, Bodie and me, and just going to go over some high points here on the 256 cylinder. We've got an Edelbrock carburetor here, and one thing you need to know about an Edelbrock, generally speaking, if they're on a V8, these two air fuel mixtures, needle valves, go all the way in till they touch and then out 2.5 turns, and it will run, and you adjust from there. This is on a 6-cylinder, so it's coming out about 2 turns, not 2.5 turns. Also, we wanted to talk about the HEI distributor we put in. Of course, this comes stock with a point distributor, and there's a myth out there. People say, well, we'll go with the HEI because it's higher voltage. That's not necessarily so. The purpose for HEI is accuracy. When dealing with points, you got point gap, and you got things that are mechanically closed and open to create spark for your spark plugs. And it grounds out the coil has power, energizes, and then it comes back to the distributor cap, through the rotor, and then out through the distributor cap, through the spark plug. And this is a lot of travel. Quit! And so what we're doing here, we're shortening that distance, because if you look right here, this is an HEI distributor. It has the coil actually mounted into the cap. We can't control the speed of electricity through a wire that's set by the universe. And so what we can do is move two things closer together. And where this sets for timing is somewhere between 4 and 12 degrees before top dead center if you're using points. But depending on how wore your points are is depending on actually where the timing falls. For example, if it's timed at 10 degrees before top dead center, by the time it gets through all the worn parts of the point plate and the points and the cam and the distributor, you may actually be firing at 6 before top dead center. So by using the HEI, you can create a spark almost exactly at the point where you need it to be. And what does this equal? This equals better fuel economy and better, less horsepower fall off. And so that's the reason you go with HEI. It's not necessarily more voltage, it's just more accurately placed voltage. So that's what we're doing, and what we're going to do now is we're going to start it up, and the idle's a little low. For this standard, we put the clutch in and everything, and we should be right around 700, maybe 800 RPMs for a standard. If it's an automatic, I'd like to be around 900, but a standard, you can go a little lower. And so, Bodie, if you don't care, fire it up, and don't run over me. That's a telltale sign of timing, too. He didn't have to get in the truck, he didn't have to pump it, he didn't have to do anything. He just reached over to hit the key and it fires right up. But as you can tell, the idle's slightly low, but we're going to turn it up just a little bit. Okay, see that? That was a quarter turn. I like it. And that's it. Well, what else to go over? Anything you need?
Brag about the Clifford intake and the 6-into-2 dual exhaust.
Well, it does have, come around here and shoot that. It's got the 6-into-2 dual exhaust, and it's got a Clifford 4-bolt, 4-barrel intake on this 6-cylinder. I myself don't really care for it, but if you like it,
The intake here?
No, this is your intake here.
What's the Clifford intake here?
Well, this came standard with a 1-barrel on it.
Explain, he doesn't know.
Okay, it came standard with a 1-barrel carburetor, and what we have on there now is a 4-barrel, which is 4 individual barrels to deliver more fuel.
Okay.
Okay, the 1-barrel, with what it comes stock with, this is a performance upgrade to get more horses out of the same displacement. And it works kind of okay, but generally speaking, you have vacuum leaks around this spacer plate and this gasket, and generally when dealing with anything before 1980, if you put it back the way it was designed from the get-go, you get the optimum performance out of it. The aftermarket stuff looks good, but for the grocery getter, you don't need it. And that's it.
Action.
I drove it. I put about 25 miles on it today, and runs real good, really well. And the clutch feels great. It was a great upgrade. And for a straight six, it does have some oomph. It's good. You know, it's probably, to give you guys a figure out there, I wouldn't doubt it if it's putting down 140 horsepower to the rear wheels, something like that. You know, but nothing special, nothing spectacular. And over those 25 miles, I'm quite sure it used about 2 gallons of gas. So the fuel mileage is shit. And you gotta go, well, then why? So the 6-cylinder is nice. I've always liked inline 6-cylinders, but I can't quite imagine that I'll keep that 6-cylinder in there because I'm not getting any more power, even though it's got the Clifford stuff on there and the big 4-barrel and all this shit. But I'm also losing any kind of fuel economy, which it still didn't have fuel economy. In bone stock form, in this truck, this 6-cylinder, you'd be lucky to get 16 miles a gallon on the highway. So why not do a 350? Because I can make 350 run in this thing, geared right and everything, and probably get, you know, 16, 17 miles to the gallon without any issue, really. It's pretty easy to do that. But it's got a it definitely has like either a 410 or a 411 rear end, and because it's spinning 3,000 RPMs doing 60 miles an hour down the highway. So it's geared way too low. Unless I'm just going to use this to run back and forth to Home Depot, which that might be the case. But unless I'm going to do that, there's just no point in this. If I'm going to make it a daily driver and literally drive it, like I'll be pulling the Jimmy to races and stuff, that'll be a 2.5 hour drive. I need to just put a 350 in it. You know, just a stocker 350 and call it good. But I'm happy with it, and it's running good. And for now, that's all it's getting. So
Yeah, I mean, the 350 is a great upgrade. You could have got this with 350. The deal is with this is what people don't realize. In 71, most speed limits were 55 miles an hour. You know, today we drive 70, don't think anything of it. Back then, there was no really highway speed of 70 miles an hour. It was all 55. And, you know, this was used probably its whole life from 71 till it was sold years later, maybe 10 miles from home. It's only now that the mom and pop stores are missing, and you have to drive to the Home Depot, which is 35 minutes away. Prior to that, when this truck was made, you may have had to drive to the end of your lane or the end of your road, and there was a mom and pop hardware, there was a mom and pop grocery store. And so the idea of commuting any more than 15 minutes from your house was really unheard of. So the RPMs and the fuel mileage and things like that didn't really come into play. Now people commute an hour to work back and forth every day. That just didn't happen in 71. You worked on the farm or you worked at the plant and you lived close to the plant. It's just a different life we live today than compared to 1971.
all right. Anyways, there you go.